able to join. We have started with a bit of delay now, so this is a learning point for us that we forgot about. Always start these things 15 minutes before the the scheduled time. But I will try to speed up. So I will present to you. This was a request, a specific request, a learning need from Cork, which pinpointed their interest in this project. And basically the presentation in itself, it's a bit more dedicated to the technical side. I will try to skip up that part and focus a bit on our involvement with the community as we speak. And then at around five-ish, that would be 18 Central European time. We will change to the live to the building. If everything goes all right and we have tested it, it should be all right. So let's try and do it. First of all, just a brief introduction on this project, this retrofitting of a social housing building. This was a project financed not by Intensify, but some time ago by another European program, which financed also the infrastructure, which is something that is not very common, but we managed to get a project that was specific to development of technologies, and by this way we could invest in some of the technologies to improve the building. I will make a very brief introduction on our building stock. So in Almada we have mainly residential buildings, and most of them are really low energy efficiency. One of the important things is that social housing is about 6% of all our buildings. This is more or less normal for European standards, but it's really high for Portuguese standards. So we have lots of social housing in Almada, unlike other municipalities. This is just an idea of the potential for retrofit in our country. So 40% of our buildings need repair, so this is a huge potential to repair and introduce energy efficiency measures. And this is just the number of buildings that the municipality of Almada, dwellings that the municipality of Almada owns or manages. And there are other institutions, national institutions, that also have social housing here in Almada. So the municipality in itself has 260 buildings. They are spread across the municipality, as you can see in the map. This is the two main typologies we have. One, you can see in the picture, in the first picture, is a kind of a normal multi-apartment building. So, and this represents 95% of the dwellings in the municipality, and it's also quite similar to most residential buildings in Portugal. So it's very representative of what's been done. Although obviously there are some constraints in costs for building these kinds of buildings, so sometimes the quality is not the same as the average building, but it's fairly similar. And then we have these small single-family dwellings, which are very rare, but we have some that are also, but we will not address them. So this is again an overall picture. So you see that lots of buildings are here in the lower end of the energy efficiency rating. So there is huge space for improvement. The energy consumption in residential buildings has been a bit bigger through the years, and actually I should have here some other updates for the more years recently, but it's around the 26. It has remained stable from this year, and then some figures that are really important for what we are addressing here. So 30% of the families in Portugal don't have the capacity to heat their houses in the winter and cool them in the summer. There is also the most vulnerable sectors of the population are also the ones that live in rural areas and in old buildings, so with less building quality, and also social housing, which is generally characterized by poor construction quality. And this is one of the most important figures here in Portugal. 70% of the poor families aren't able to maintain acceptable comfort levels during the winter. So, and just to give an idea on how the energy is spent in Portugal or in the average dwelling and across Europe, you have here that Portugal in practice consumes very little energy. And this has to do with, well, first of all, our weather. Second of all, and also very, very important, the lack of central heating systems or central systems. And also very important, the lack of people, of resources to use this energy. And just as a curiosity, our building we evaluated, and this is where it stands. So the real energy consumption is really, really low. And this is due to the fact that it's a social housing and people have problems there to spend money on this energy. That's actually why it's so low. So we started off from a low endpoint on energy consumption, and I will explain a little bit how we cope with that. I will just to have, this is just an old study about the impact of seasonal mortality, and Portugal has the highest index in the whole Europe of mortality related to climate, which is actually strange because we have a very mild weather, but it is explained by the next slide, where you have the percentage of insulation in the houses. So you can see that Portugal has very low percentage of insulation. This is an old study, it's much better now, but this was one of the main facts. So the building quality is very poor. I will skip this. This is also a graph to show the mortality associated with peaks in temperature. It shows there is a real great correlation between these two factors. And now I will go on to the building as fast as I can. So this was the building we chose. So it's in basically a huge neighborhood of social housing. This block of buildings is all owned by the municipality, and we chose this building here. This building here marked in red. Well, before the construction, as I mentioned, I will not go into detail, but it was really poorly constructed. So there was thermal discomfort, there was excessive relative humidity, and there was also air leakage. So we had to address these problems. This is basically what you can see inside this building. So here you have the windows of the house, which is single glazing windows, very, very drafty. This is the kind of heating you have in a normal house in Portugal. So it goes across from room to room. This is the furnace to heat up the water, direct connection to gas. And this was the state of the insulation. Actually, there was insulation in the roof, which is good, but it was in very poor conditions. So we started to do some data collection. We had to do some archaeology of the plans, because even if it was built in the 90s, this building, the blueprints were all in paper. So we had to go back and find it and then bring it to digital streams. And here, well, also some technical simulations we did, but the most important thing here, and I think we should highlight, is that when we started doing this, I personally and the team with the municipality of Almada were spending time with the with the residents. You can see here a picture of one of the first meetings. And what we did there, we went there, we explained what we were doing, what would happen, that there would be some heavy works in the building, that there would be some problems and some issues, trying to get their empathy. Then we also did a huge survey with them, We tried to gather as much possible information from them to evaluate how things were evolving then after the implementation. So a bit more technical systems that we introduced, some telemonitoring so we could get some information of what was going on, replacement of water and gas meters, energy audits, and also this new technology for detecting air leakage. So this project was a bit technical innovations, but I'm not going into any detail on this. Obviously, it's not scope of our concept. So what were the identified solutions and the methodology? So basically, we needed to first get really hard reduction targets. We needed to include innovative technologies, but we had some constraints. We couldn't have any new energy services because people will not bear increase in their energy bill, even if the house was very well heated up. They would not stand for energy increase in their energy bill. There were also some technical restrictions on the available space. And we had to coordinate with other activities existing in the building. Namely, in the basement, there was a kindergarten and a canteen, a social institution. So we had to coordinate with them. We developed some scenarios and we tested these scenarios basically with a toolkit that was developed during the European project that evaluated all the measures in an holistic way. So we developed several scenarios with different kinds of technologies to then try to define what would be the best based on our constraints that we had previously in the building. So I'm running already out of time. So this was the, this was the reduction of energy savings in the building, 80.6 and 93.6. But remember, I told you that the consumption was very low. So actually, this was not the real energy consumption decrease, but this is based on what we called nominal conditions. So if people heated their house, which is kind of the concept we have here in our energy efficiency directives, if the people heated their house for really the whole year, how much they would spend. And with the new technologies, they would spend 80% less. But this has nothing to do with the real energy expenditure, which went down, but went down just a little bit because they were spending really low amounts of energy. That's it, basically. So I will skip this part also. This is just some of the technologies we introduced. So I think it's we can then have a look when we have our live into the building. But I will skip this. But basically, it was facades, and this was the innovation introduced, which is a hybrid solar system that I will show a picture later. So we refurbished completely all the facade of the building. This is a picture of the process. This here is the insulation. This was the old wall, and this is the new wall here. And then we replaced all the windows. Here is a picture of the new windows, which we will also see in the live. This basically was aluminium frames, and we had to keep this brown structure for architectural reasons. So the building from outside now really doesn't seem like it was intervened, which is quite good. It seems fairly similar to the other ones on the side. So aesthetically speaking, it was okay. Then we did this innovative technology, which is a combined solar system. It basically heats up water and produces electricity, and then it has a coating to improve the cleaning of the system by itself, which improves the efficiency, and it's actually a cheap coating to install. So this was the innovative part, and then we gathered all the other more normal installations. This is just a picture of the system that we installed there. Some technical details. Once again, I will skip this. Also, we changed all the lighting, also inside the apartment. And here, well, basically, I had to go with a team to each apartment and see each light bulb, each lamp, each desk lamp, talk to the people, what would they like, what would they don't like, get LED equivalent in the market. And we also, we spent some time with the people also checking their preferred light colors. So some didn't like white colors, some didn't like yellow colors. We took all of that into account, but for doing this, we needed to be there almost constantly. So every week we would go there and talk with the people and get their feedback on this. It actually turned quite good, although it was real hard work. Some more technical systems. This is the monitoring system. Also, I'm not going to detail. If you have any interest on these technologies, we can then share the links and the products in itself. This is actually a Portuguese company that does these systems. We also gather data from weather stations, and we had this panel to check how the consumption of everything was evolving in the building. So these are some pre-intervention indicators that we calculated. We did a really technical assessment of these parameters before the intervention. And also, we did an evaluation of thermal comfort. And in this graph, you have the percentage of time in which people are comfortable inside their house. And you can see that in some of the dwellings, this is for 6 different dwellings, between December and February, people were 0% of the time under what we call thermal comfort, which is between 19 and 26 degrees. So you can see that it was not good at all to live in those conditions. Then we did an occupant satisfaction survey, because it was actually what was important for us, because we could not get very much reduction in the amount of energy reduced. They got some from the solar energy system because they heat the heater with gas, and now their energy consumption decreased a lot, decreased by 40%. But the important thing was, well, what about the comfort, the quality of life of the people? Has it improved? So we did this survey. This is just a small summary of some of the results. And basically, we have here on the left side the overall comfort level before and after the intervention. So it went from 3.1 to 4.6. And the average number of discomfort situations reported, like they said, I have a leakage in my room, or I have a draft in my kitchen, or I have something, so specific number of situations, and that reduced from 3.4 to 0.2. So sorry, 50% increase in comfort perceived and 90% decrease of discomfort situations. So it's something that we took out of this project, which was very technical, but actually the main results were the involvement of this small community of neighbors, and they were very supportive of our work, although we had some issues during the works, as always. But now you will see that they have been quite happy with this intervention. Some say they won the lottery, and in a certain sense, it's a bit true. So just some thoughts that I have compiled in the last slides. Basically, as I mentioned, the real consumption was not reduced because the base consumption was very, very low. but we had a significant increase of the conditions of comfort of the people. And still we got reduction of the energy consumption. So this is possible. And we also have here a comparison between this holistic and a standard retrofit. So we have some numbers for the standard retrofit and for our building, the HERB building. And you can see that the results on a total, if you take out the very innovative technologies that are not always applicable, always also obviously, we have a more or less similar number of investment in the two different scenarios. And well, just another perspective, there has been some discussion on what's called carbon gentrification in the cities, especially in cities where there's a lot of investment in green buildings, in carbon neutral buildings. And if this happens to, in some ways, it can actually lead to some greater carbon footprint. And this is basically explained by the income factor that changes a little bit because the people living in the neighborhoods also change. So one of the ways of also making a balance between these situations is investments in social housing, where the greater comfort is essential, where we can improve the comfort of the building, and then we can reduce consumption wherever possible. So I exceeded a bit our time, but thank you for your attention. I don't know if you have any questions before we go to our magnificent quiz.
I've got a question, Joao. Thank you very much for that. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll put my camera on. There you go. Hi, all.
Hello.
One, you mentioned the in the UK we call them excess winter deaths. In other words, the number of people who die in winter, which is possibly associated with cold weather. And you had a similar table earlier on in the presentation. You mentioned the massive improvements to the quality of the building. We did something relatively similar in one of our estates, and an unintended or an unmonitored output was a noticeable and reported reduction in health problems, especially for the chest problems and other illnesses associated with poor or cold housing. Have you had any feedback, or have you tried to get any feedback from the local doctor's surgeries or health clinics, which would help? You haven't saved energy, but you've improved comfort levels enormously. So there has to be a benefit, and essentially, if you can point to the number of or the reduced number of visits to hospitals, etc., you can put that as a net benefit of the project.
Yeah. Well, no, we cannot do that. This is basically a very small sample of people. So this was not a huge intervention. So we cannot place that number. What we do know is that from that number of discomfort situations and from specific things that we have observed on location, we know that the pathologies of the building have diminished. What we will see next is the top building, so it's the 4th floor, and they had serious dampness problems and infiltrations, and there was mold that we know obviously contributes to a really bad interior the quality of the air inside. So we know that for sure improved, and the people mentioned it very time, but we did not quantify the health impact, because also the sample is very low. In Portugal, there is now a national strategy on renovation of buildings being on public consultation, and they have a small annex. This was done by a university here in Portugal, and they actually tried to quantify a bit the improvement in health and the reduction of healthcare by improving for a certain amount the buildings. But this is an overall figure. I can send it to you if you want. It's probably only applicable for Portugal, but I'm sure there will be this kind of estimates also for UK. But for this specific case, no, we don't have the impacts on health, and also the intervention was finished not so long ago, so this would be very difficult to evaluate in this small sample.
João, just to add that in the chat we have Christine and Brian asking for more information about the hybrid system, the solar hybrid system, and the wall tiles. Maybe
okay, I didn't see the chat. Yeah.
Maybe we can send them information after this webinar, some more details by email or...
Yes, for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
And we can do another thing also. So remember that this is a more or less a test of our study visit. So if you have some unfinished business, we can do this again and go into details on whatever needs you have.
Hello, Antonio. Welcome to
Hello. Sorry, but I'm taking lessons of Portuguese, and my lesson finished just 1 minute ago.
Ah, great.
No, you are just in time for the quiz.
No, really, it's true. I have a professor from Brasilia, but he is from Porto, and now he lives there. So I'm taking lessons on Skype.
Very nice. Very nice.
But
I missed the first part, but I already visited Almada, so I don't think if you were talking, you presented the different topics, or if you are in some way presenting your experiences that you already had presented in last September when I visited your premises.
It's the same. So you already know.
But it's good to see it again.
Yeah, we will make a live from the building now, so you'll be in time for that. So any other quick questions, Brian?
Yeah, Joe, thanks very much. That was an excellent presentation on it. I'm just wondering, have you collected a summary on the engagement with the residents in terms of what she did and what went well, what you would like to improve on, and that side of it?
No, we didn't do that. Well, what I tried to share was a bit our experience.
Yeah.
But actually the core of the project was not this one, was not community involvement. It was more a side effect, let's say, and the learning that we got from the project. And it was very useful personally for me, because one thing we noticed, because we started working on this with the municipality, one thing we noticed is that there is some lack of communication, and sometimes the municipal employees are not very comfortable to go directly to the people and talk to them about these kind of things or changes in their life or in their buildings. They are a bit reluctant, because also they are normally very badly received by some people. So it's a difficult relation, and it was good that I managed to step in and with other people in our team, and different faces went there, and they just they accepted us a bit more. So we had some learnings from this interaction with the others, but we didn't actually do any clear analysis on this. So this was just some things that we got from the project, side effects, let's say. You're muted, Brian. Sorry.
Oh, I'm muted now. No, I'm not muted.
Yeah.
We had similar problems when we started off on this journey. So one of the things we ended up doing was insisting that the contractors would appoint a liaison officer specifically for the tenants, and who would have no other role other than dealing with the tenants.
Yeah.
So that if they needed to get in after hours, if they needed to come in during the day, it was all done in advance, and the tenants were made aware. And that really cut down on the amount of aggravation that people suffered.
Yeah,
that's the word. When they were getting this work done for free, and yeah, it made a huge difference to us, because as the client, we didn't really have resources to put into it ourselves. You know, we were depending on the contractor, so that's what we ended up doing.
Yeah, so that's great. Here we had the advantage of having the European funds supporting my work time, and some other experts that were there also with me, and some people from our team. So that's why we also managed. But it just basically our experience, which is a bit different, just pinpoints that this is a very important thing to have the connection almost full time there, linking with the people and their concerns.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Okay, so I think we must move on. I don't know if there are some very urgent questions, but our time is a bit skipping. We can then catch up on another webinar. I will get information to all of you on the hybrid panels, the system in itself, and how it's working. So. But now maybe, Pedro, we can move on to the quiz. So we have a short quiz for you. Let's see how this works. You will need to go to a browser that can be on your phone or on your computer if that's easy. So we will use.
I'm going to write in the chat. So you have to go to this website, menti.com, and use this code.
So,
sorry.
Pedro, do you want to share your screen also? Or?
Yes. No, I want to share my screen. So you have to stop sharing your screen and I will share mine.
Okay, I will try to do that. Stop sharing, done.
Okay, so I'm going to share my screen now. So, okay, I will start sharing my screen. So probably you will see my screen now. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
No.
No.
Yes, yes, I do.
If you don't, you can double click on the video. It should appear.
Now I see your screen.
Okay, so I think we can start the quiz. So first question.
Wait, is everyone already placed the code in the site www.menti.com?
We already have five participants. 5 participants.
Okay,
nice.
So you have 6 with me now, I think.
Five again.
Okay.
Okay.
Everyone is in, or are you having some difficulties?
I'm in.
Okay, so I think we can start.
Yeah, okay. Even if there's not everyone,
So
we can.
first question, and whoever answers first gets more points. And this is the first question: true or false? 70% of the poor families aren't able to maintain acceptable comfort levels. Is this true or is this false? Everyone has voted. Nice. So
No, we are too smart.
No,
the
false is mine. The false is mine, but I didn't remember since September the 2%.
Yes.
And Brian, yes, you should have been listening. So second question, who is the first one? So who is on? Christine. No, Jeremy first, and then Christine, and then Brian, Petra, Joao, and Antonio. Still on time to recover, Antonio, don't worry.
Yes.
I'm ready. Second question. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. What was the increase in comfort perceived before and after retrofit? This number was shown during the presentation, so everyone has answered. Okay. Sorry. Okay, so this is the answers, and 50% was the correct answer. Only two people have actually got it right. So the leaderboard at the moment with 2 questions. Now it's Christine and Brian who have actually answered both questions correctly. So we go for the next question. Again, 30 seconds. What was the decrease in discomfort situations reported before and after retrofit? "15 seconds, no pressure, but I think everyone has answered. Right on time. 2, 1, and this is the answer. 90% is the correct answer. 3 persons got it right. More or less half of the respondents. So in terms of leaderboard, how is this? So again, Christine, Joao, and Petra. So Christine is clearly at the front of the race. But I think we still have one more question. So Brian and Joao, you might recover after this. Is there a significant cost differential between a standard and a holistic retrofit?
Next time we can do 15 seconds. This is too much for these bright brains.
2, 1, and yes, the costs are just slightly above. It's the correct answer. So 4 persons got it right. So at the end, let's see how this goes. Okay, 4 correct answers for João, Petra, Jeremy, and Antonio. So Christine is the winner. Congratulations. Not only you answered for the correct answers, also you were the fastest one. So congratulations. Thank you for your time and your effort. I think everyone did an amazing job. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. and we can invite the resident to join us. So I am going to add her to the conversation.
You are still sharing your screen, but I will just meanwhile, as you call our resident at the building, basically now we'll make a direct call to her. She's already participating, and if you can make direct questions to her, so you can speak to me or put it in the chat. And I will speak to Sandra in Portuguese. Boa tarde, Sandra.
Boa tarde. Estou de máscara. Espera aí que eu vou tirar porque estava ao pé da bebê, da minha
não faz mal.
neta, e ao pé dela estou sempre de máscara. Ora, boa tarde.
É. Boa tarde. Sandra, não estamos a ver o vídeo, acho eu.
É provável. Eu estou a vê-lo a...
How do I stop sharing my screen? Do you know?
Sandra, só um bocadinho. Tens que ir. You have to go to the 3 dots there, after the thumb there.
Yeah.
And then stop sharing. Parar a ligação. E do lado esquerdo do thumbs também tens. Desculpa, do lado esquerdo do thumbs tens aí parar partilha.
Eu estou a carregar e ele não está a deixar. Já deixou. Pronto.
Ok. Sandra, já estamos de volta a ver se já aparece.
Eu já vos vejo vocês, já.
Ok. Já vemos ali num cantinho.
Consegue ligar a câmera do...
Já está ligada. Já estou a ver ali a Sandra.
Já consigo ver cá em cima, né?
Sim. Já se está a ver. Eu não Sandra, eu vou falando em inglês e em português. Quando estiver a falar em português é consigo, em inglês é com os nossos colegas que estão aqui todos online. So does anyone has a specific question to Sandra, the resident in our building?
Yes, Brian has two questions. How long did it take to complete the work, and was there a lot of disturbance?
Ok, Sandra, aqui o Brian, que é um colega nosso da Irlanda, está a perguntar quanto tempo é que demoraram as obras e se foi algo
muitas perturbações,
muito chato para vocês o período de obras.
As obras foi perto de 3 meses. A nível de incómodo não foram muito grandes porque os senhores... Era exterior, eram obras exteriores. Dia que foi obra interior, que foi quando colocaram as janelas, eles puseram tudo no mesmo dia.
Okay. So Sandra just said that the works lasted for 3 months and there was not a big issue because all of the works were done outside of the building except for some interventions like the windows that was done just in one day. This actually was also part of our initial constraints. So we decided not to go deep inside the apartments, just the least possible. And this made it, not too bad for the residents, the work. So it turned out okay.
So 2 more questions, one from Brian again. Is the building much warmer now in the summer? And Jeremy asks if it's worth all the disturbance or would you like the building to be the way it was before?
Ok, Sandra, duas perguntas. Uma é se agora se acha que o edifício está mais quente no verão. A casa, se está mais quente no verão ou não?
Ficava quente, agora não.
Okay, so Brian, it used to be very warm in the summer, but now it's not. So because the insulation and the windows actually made the house cooler. The windows also have this basculating system, which means they can do natural ventilation better. And so it's actually not much warmer. Although I understand your question, you increase insulation, you could get warmer house in the summer, but that's not the case because you also have less heat going in. E Sandra, outra pergunta era se valeu a pena esses 3 meses de obras. E os benefícios que tiveram.
Foi 100% válido. Melhorou a nível de temperatura, de ruído, isolamento do prédio ficou muito melhor do que estava antes. Deixou de haver problemas que nós tínhamos anteriormente, deixaram de existir com o isolamento que fizeram no prédio, tanto acústico como ao nível da qualidade da habitação, melhorou a 100%.
Okay. So regarding Jeremy's question, Sandra just said that they actually it was 100% worth it, because now, besides being more comfortable inside their house in terms of temperatures, there is also a huge increase in the sound insulation. So it was very, very helpful for them, the system. Yeah. So Pedro is writing it down. It's great.
Yes. So 2 more questions.
Yes. So Brian just asked, Sandra, desculpe. A próxima pergunta é se notou algum acréscimo ou decréscimo na fatura do gás ou na fatura da eletricidade.
É muito menos, é porque a nível de água diminuiu os gastos. A nível de luz e de gás acaba por diminuir. Até mesmo de luz, porque foram mudadas as lâmpadas para LED na altura, foi a sugestão vossa, e realmente mudou tudo, as faturas baixaram bastante até.
Okay, so Sandra just said that the bills decreased, actually all of them, electricity and gas decreased a lot. Electricity because of the lighting, which was one of the main energy consumptions, and gas because of the water. So, and that was the main reduction. Although they were not very big, but they reduced percentually. They reduced a lot, and they noticed it. They noticed the reduction in the bills.
There's one final question from Antonio. If you live in the same building or a similar one?
No, this is the same.
For just for you, not for Sandra.
Yeah, it's the same. So
it's the same.
Sandra. Sandra, está aí?
Sim, estou.
Sim, se calhar só se pudesse mostrar uma das, não sei se a gente vai conseguir ver, mas se pudesse mostrar uma das janelas, só para vermos aquele sistema. Acho que agora não estamos a ver.
Agora está a ver a janela, provavelmente, porque eu mudei a câmera para poderem ver.
Eu não estou a conseguir ver.
Não, essa câmera se calhar não dá aqui neste sistema, tem que ser com a outra.
É lá. Se for assim, já conseguem ver, provavelmente. Não tem percepção, mas estou a mostrar o que devo.
Espera aí.
Estou a tentar mostrar com a câmera frontal também. Não?
É isso. Assim já se consegue ver. Pode só fazer aquele sistema de oscilobatente, só para se ver. So now Sandra, if you can see her screen, she now is just showing the windows and what I told you about the basculating system, which is a fairly normal system that allows for the natural ventilation and also helps in the summer during the night to cool down the house. So you cannot see too much, but well, we will have to make a site visit. Obrigado, Sandra.
Muito obrigado.
Provavelmente a qualidade, mas...
sim, mas dá para perceber.
Pronto. O esquentador também foi mudado, não sei se querem ver.
Sim, já agora, Sandra, se puder, enquanto eu vou explicando. So Sandra now is going to show you the new furnace. So this is one of the things we changed inside. Basically, this furnace gets gas and gets hot water from the solar systems. It actually looks a lot like the old one, but it has a kind of a switch that detects how heated the water from the solar panel is, and then decreases the amount of gas consumption to the final temperature needed in the bath. So this is the new system that we also installed in the houses. So all of this is fairly cheap technology, except for the innovative solar panels, and very easy to replace without changing anything in the infrastructure of the house, which was one of our goals.
Vou mostrar, Sr. João.
Sim.
Ele aos 44 já liga automaticamente o painel solar.
Sim. Não conseguimos ver, não. Só vemos o ecrãzito, mas não conseguimos ver o que é que lá está.
Pronto. Mas ele aos 44, por exemplo, agora está aos 44 graus de temperatura da água e ele automaticamente liga o painel solar.
Okay. So basically, Sandra says that she can see in the screen of the furnace of the system, the heating system, that the temperature now is at roughly 44 degrees, just coming from the solar panel. So there's almost no need to, at this time, because we are really now in hot summer, there is no need during this period almost to use any gas. Any final questions so we can wrap up?
Just a quick
Sandra,
one.
Sandra, temos só mais uma questão, só um bocadinho.
All right, then. Well, does the water get too hot for the domestic hot water? The sun's really, or do you have to take 3 or 4 showers a day?
Maybe it's best if you write the question, Jeremy.
Sandra, eu vou tentar dizer parte da pergunta que eu não percebi muito bem, mas a pergunta era só se a água chega demasiado quente em algum momento ou se não, se a temperatura, quando na torneira, se está sempre mais ou menos como precisam.
É assim, é sempre mais difícil, por exemplo, o painel solar funcionar no inverno. Sim. Não sei se é normal, se não, mas é assim, se nós podemos alterar a temperatura, mas se alterarmos a temperatura, imagino, para 46 liga o painel solar e depois é constante a água. Sim. Fica sempre com a mesma temperatura, não altera a temperatura. A partir do momento que a água liga o painel solar e fica quente, a temperatura não sofre alterações até a gente desligar a água. Okay. Antigamente não era assim. Antigamente a gente tinha água quente e de repente passava para fria. Agora não, a água é constante, desde que começa a sair quente, é sempre constante, à mesma temperatura. Ok.
So I don't know if that was your exact question, Jeremy, but Sandra is saying that the water temperature now is actually much more stable than previously. So if it comes out from the solar panel at 44 degrees, 45 degrees, it stays like that, very stable. And previously they had some issues. And actually the system, it has the hot water coming from the solar panel and it has the cold water coming from the network. So if for any strange circumstance the hot water is too hot, it can also manage that. So, and there was also an extra system on the basement that allows to balance the temperature in the water. So actually now they have more stable water temperature at the tap. Okay.
I see that Jeremy direct with water in the panels. Okay. With water in the panels, not glycol.
No, there is, yes. So the system is, we have the solar system on top. I will just say goodbye to Sandra, and we can go on. Sandra, só para agradecer, já temos aqui as perguntas. Nós vamos continuar aqui a discutir um bocadinho o que está aí instalado. Mas só para agradecer.
Muito obrigado.
Obrigado por este tempo.
Obrigado eu. Tempo precisarem, à vontade.
Ok, obrigadíssimo.
Boa tarde.
Um abraço para todos. So I was just mentioning, Jeremy, that what we have is the solar system, which has a refrigerating fluid. I actually don't know exactly if it's glycol, but then this goes into a heat permutation system, and we have this big how do we call it? I don't remember the name even in Portuguese. Tanks, these big hot water tanks. Yeah, you can say. Then we have a buffer on the basement, but we have these huge water tanks in the roof, and that's where the heat is exchanged. And then from then it goes to the tap. And so it's a closed circuit. It's actually not closed. Sorry, the tank in itself gets water from the network and then goes down to the buildings. And but between the solar panels and the tank, the water tank, it's a closed circuit. I don't know if it's clear, but we can also, if we want to go into details into the system, we can also make a small call just dedicated to these issues. And so I can explain, because there are some interesting things about the way we also place the water counters inside and how the whole system works and how we managed to do something that was not too complicated for the users. So we can have a new call just dedicated to that.
Hi. Joe, how are you? Brian Cassidy back again. How are things? I was just wondering, can you remember, was there much of a price difference between the hybrid and, say, the equivalent solar PV?
Well, yes. I cannot say how much, but it was much more expensive. What we found out was that actually in this case we had sort of a limited space. So it was actually very good because we needed to get a certain, to get that extreme reduction in energy, we needed to get big energy production. So with the space we had, if we had installed a photovoltaic and on the side a water heater, a solar water heater, we wouldn't have enough space to have this much energy produced. So in fact, in this way, when you have limited space, it's actually economically it makes more sense to have this integrated system. But if you compare directly this system with the only solar photovoltaic or only solar water, this one is more expensive. But if you have limits on the area and you want to produce lots of energy, because if you need to, for instance, if you want your building to be a net zero or near zero energy building, this can actually be economically a good option, and it's actually more or less standard technology. It's very similar to the other ones. So we had no one in Portugal installing these kind of things. But the company that installed it was very at ease with it because all of the systems are very similar to the ones that are split. So they were very comfortable in installing it and now maintaining it because the same company is still doing all the maintenance.
Thanks for that, Joe.
Welcome.
So Christina suggested consideration of a hybrid system in the Milton Keynes. I think it's a good idea. So we are reaching almost the 1 hour of the webinar. I think we can wrap it up, and thanks for all the participation. It was really interesting because we weren't sure if it was working, this format, if it would work, but I think in COVID, COVID-19 restrictions, I think this is a good opportunity and a possible alternative for the other study visits. And for sure, we will discuss this in the project meeting tomorrow.
Yes.
Yeah, just Cork coming back in there. For Friday morning, we're using Microsoft Teams. So I'm hoping it'll go well. I'm not too sure about dial-in. I'm working on it. I have something in from Microsoft there earlier on today about a password, so I think that might be for the dial-in facility, but I'm going to check with our ICT department and see what they say to me. So I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow, and any of you who can join us on Friday morning, I'm delighted to see you there.
I will try to join. I know we have some kind of Microsoft Teams account, but we have never used it, so it will be actually a good test also for us. But yes. I will do my best to make it work.
Well, if I can make it work, I'd say anybody can.
Yeah.
Okay, see you guys tomorrow, and thank you very much again.
Take care. Thanks very much, Joe. Thanks, Pedro.
Bye-bye.
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 Bye.
Bye.
Need a haircut.